believe that a large-scale SDI to protect the population as envisioned by Reagan is
better,
likely.
yeah.
Agree
So
with that?
before I comment on Tower's testimony, I better read it. If he's talking about a shield so impenetrable that you have no that eliminates the need for any kind of other defense, I probably would agree with that. Certainly short run, but I better cover by waiting until I see what he said. The standees, two standees along it.
Thank you. First action taken by your Secretary of State was to order the boarding up of the embassy in Kabul. Does that indicate that this administration, this country, then has no influence with the rebels, and you are now fearful of chaos and massacres there? And to what extent did you discuss this with Gorbachev the other day?
Did not discuss it with him the other day, and what it indicates is a prudent policy to protect a handful of American life. And it's a step that other countries have taken in Afghanistan. There is certainly, I think we'd all agree, there is uncertainty about what follows. I'm convinced the Soviets will continue their withdrawal, and well, they should, but it is simply a prudent way in which to protect life. I think we've had meeting after meeting with Afghan rebels, and there's no question in their mind how we feel about, say, a Soviet presence in that country. But I think there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's enough uncertainty that a Secretary of State was taking prudent action in this regard.
What role do you see for the United States after the Soviets withdraw in that country?
Catalytic role for helping bring about stability, hopefully in a government where the people have a lot to say, and it won't be easy. Yeah, Tom.
Mr. President, I'd like to try the pay raise one last time. As you just said, it's not just for members of Congress and not just for federal judges, it's for a lot of senior officials of the government, political appointees. You also have told some reporters in recent days that you're concerned about the long-term pension implications of all these larger salaries. Wouldn't you be happier with a pay raise that's a little bit less rich than 50%?
I don't have that option to get into that now. I think expressed myself in the past on separating out some of these categories, but we're not. Regrettably, you're never dealing with just the way I would like it to be, and so I'll just leave it that what my earlier statement. Ellen?
Sir, this is a thematic question. You've had a week on the job. Has it been easier or tougher than you expected? Any surprises? And did you find the note in your underwear?
No note in the underwear, and it's been a good, easy week, and I expect it'll change dramatically in the days ahead. But my view is to, if it weren't for the cold, smile and enjoy it while you can, because I can already sense, looking forward to a little more confrontation out there.
Have there been any surprises, sir?
None particularly. No, and I think one of the reasons is that I've been around here in a different role for 8 years, and then in and out on other jobs. So but there's still a wonder of it all. I mean, it still feels different, but not surprises.
Follow-up, sir.
Hey, you already had a follow-up. Nice try. Read it.
President, there seems to be some brouhaha about the fact that Bill Bennett's not an actual member of the cabinet, as are the USTR and the OMB director. In light of the fact that you emphasize drugs as an overriding consideration in your campaign, and also that public opinion polls show consistently this is among the top priorities of the public, why isn't he in the cabinet, and do you foresee that you might change your mind on that?
No, the reason he isn't in the cabinet is that I'm tried to reduce down the numbers of full cabinet members, and I think Bill Bennett's time is best spent not worrying about agricultural subsidies, but when we have a meeting on agriculture, but concentrating on drugs. To the degree there's symbolism that this means, I think it's less important. I'd like to knock that down hard, and I have to do that in substantive ways, sitting at his side as we meet with his peers at cabinet level, making clear to them that I will be insisting on cooperation as he asks for the support of the Defense Secretary for military assets on interdiction. as he asked for the support of the education secretary on certain educational initiatives. But the cabinet rank is there, giving him the standing that I think the job not only requires but demands. And I think the idea of not sitting through cabinet member meetings that have nothing to do with that subject should be the reason that a rationale for having cabinet level but not being in all those meetings. I'm glad he mentioned this, because I think there's been some feeling, well, that means I'm less interested in drugs. That's not right. I'm very interested in the economic statistics, but our chief of economic advisors is not a cabinet member, as he's been designated by previous presidents. Our chief of staff, in whom I have full confidence, is not a cabinet member, but I think we have a very strong chief of staff setup.
Mr. Rowe here, Mr. President.
Over here, way up in the window, innovative standing.
You just touched on the issue of third world debt, and there are many experts who are saying that if there's any danger for the U.S. economy, it's in how greatly leveraged it is, both in terms of corporate indebtedness and third world debt, and they say that the S&L crisis, for example, is simply a subsumed feature of this. Do you see this as a real problem that you're going to address aggressively, and what kind of steps would you take to overcome the high proportionality of debt to equity that exists in the U.S. economy?
The question of corporate debt, the role on that one, the role of the White House and the role of the federal government ought to be to do its level best to keep a strong economy. And I don't believe that it's the government role to assign levels beyond which a corporation can't borrow. In terms of third world debt, we do have a responsibility, and a lot of that's going to be working with the private banks and others. And again, that's going to be, we'll have some recommendations. We have to have them pretty soon on that question. I'm not sure I got to the substance of your question there. But separating out these two things.
Pertains to the reported differences that you had with Alan Greenspan testimony in Congress earlier this week with regard to interest rates and monetary policy.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm far apart from Chairman Greenspan at all. Far apart. There may be some differences. He is, because of the plant capacity utilization, he is more concerned about inflationary pressures than I am right now. It seems to me there's an area of difference. But basically and generally speaking, I think we're fairly close together. Yeah.
Mr. President, by spending your first week dwelling as you have on ethics, aren't you voicing an implicit criticism of the Reagan administration's record, the ethical record?
No.
Why else was it necessary to declare National Ethics Week, so to speak?
Because I feel strongly about it.
Mr. President, can I follow on that line, sir?
No, she's in it first, and then you need to cool off on that one. Shoot, Ann.